The massive alien warship hung silently in space, its dark hull reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. On the command bridge, Fleet Commander Gray stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, his scaled skin catching the soft glow of countless displays around him. "Status report," he ordered, his voice carrying the weight of someone used to immediate obedience. Officer Blue, his chief of intelligence, stepped forward with a datapad. "Sir, we've detected a moderately advanced civilization on the third planet. They call it Earth. Their space capabilities are limited." He paused, mandibles clicking in what passed for amusement among their species. "They've barely reached their own moon." Commander Gray's yellow eyes narrowed. Something didn't add up. Their long-range scans had detected powerful energy signatures from the planet's surface. How could a species with such primitive space technology generate such readings? "Continue scanning," he ordered. "I want to know everything about their defensive capabilities." Hours passed as the alien fleet maintained its position just beyond Mars' orbit. The massive data processors aboard the flagship churned through terabytes of information, analyzing every signal, every transmission, every piece of data they could gather about this strange world. Officer Blue rushed back to the bridge, his usual composure shattered. "Commander, you need to see this immediately." The main view screen flickered to life, showing images from various human settlements. What they saw made the entire bridge crew fall silent. In nearly every human dwelling, in their military installations, even in their centers of government, they kept beasts. "Impossible," Commander Gray whispered. The creatures appeared in countless forms, some large, some small, all apparently living in perfect harmony with the humans. "They've domesticated combat units." The images continued to stream in. A massive beast with powerful jaws guarding a military base. A smaller, swift-looking creature patrolling with their law enforcement. Even their leaders kept these creatures close at hand. "Sir," Officer Blue's voice trembled slightly. "They call them dogs. Our linguistic analysis suggests they're some kind of genetically modified wolf species. They've been breeding them for thousands of years." Commander Gray watched as one of these dogs, a muscular creature with pointed ears and alert eyes, demonstrated its capabilities in what appeared to be a training exercise. It could run faster than any human, its sense of smell was hundreds of times more powerful, and its bite force could crush bones. "They keep their most powerful weapons in their homes," he mused, watching another video of a similar beast, receiving belly rubs from a small human child. "Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Hide your greatest warriors in plain sight. Disguise them as pets." The bridge crew murmured among themselves. Their own species had never managed to form such close bonds with any other life form. The concept was alien to them, which made it all the more terrifying. "Look at how they train them." Commander Gray pointed to another feed, where a human was teaching one of these creatures to follow complex commands. "They've developed some kind of psychological control over these beasts. They can command them with mere words, sometimes just gestures." Officer Blue pulled up more data. "Sir, they have entire facilities dedicated to breeding and training these creatures. They call them kennels and training schools, obviously military installations disguised as civilian facilities." Commander Gray stroked his chin thoughtfully. The humans were cleverer than they'd initially assumed. While their space technology might be primitive, they'd been developing these biological weapons for millennia. Each beast perfectly adapted to its role, from tiny surveillance units to massive combat models. "We cannot underestimate them," he declared to his crew. "Any species that can turn apex predators into loyal soldiers, that can keep weapons of war in their sleeping quarters, they are either brilliant strategists or completely insane. Possibly both." He turned to his communications officer. "Prepare a fleet-wide alert and send a message to High Command. Tell them we've encountered a civilization that has achieved something unprecedented. They've weaponized loyalty itself." As the message was sent, Commander Gray continued watching the streams of data, particularly fascinated by a video of a large black and tan beast performing what the humans called tricks. To anyone else, it might have looked like simple entertainment, but he knew better. This was just the beginning. If these were the weapons the humans displayed openly, what other secrets were they hiding? He had to know more. The morning sun rose over Montana's Blackfoot Valley military base, casting long shadows across the frost-covered ground. Inside the base's main control room, Captain Tom Miller was enjoying his first cup of coffee when every screen suddenly went dark. When they came back on, a face appeared that made him spill his coffee. The alien commander's scaled face filled every display, its yellow eyes seeming to stare directly at each person in the room. "People of Earth," the creature spoke in perfect English. "I am Fleet Commander Gray of the Galactic Defense Force. We have studied your civilization and discovered your secret." The base erupted into controlled chaos. Phones rang, officers shouted orders, and somewhere in the distance, an alarm began to wail. "Your biological weapons program is impressive," Commander Gray continued. "Keeping such deadly creatures in your homes, disguising them as pets, truly remarkable. However, your deception ends today." Captain Miller blinked in confusion. Biological weapons? What was the alien talking about? Outside the control room, Master Sergeant Jack Wilson was walking his partner, a German shepherd named Rex, when the alien's message began broadcasting from every speaker on base. "We demand your immediate surrender," Commander Gray's voice boomed. "If you refuse, we will be forced to demonstrate our own military might. You have 1 Earth hour to comply." Rex tilted his head at the strange voice, his ears perking up curiously. Jack scratched behind his partner's ears, equally confused by the bizarre ultimatum. Back on the alien flagship, Commander Gray ended the transmission and turned to Officer Blue. "Status of their response." "Sir, we're detecting unusual reactions," Blue reported, mandibles clicking nervously. "Many humans appear to be laughing." Laughing. Gray's scales darkened in anger. "They dare mock our ultimatum." "Sir, incoming transmission from the human military installation we targeted," another officer announced. The main screen showed Captain Miller, sitting calmly at his desk. Behind him, security forces members went about their duties, seemingly unconcerned. "Fleet Commander Gray, I'm Captain Tom Miller of the United States Air Force. I must admit, we're a bit confused by your message." "Do not play innocent, Captain," Gray growled. "We've seen your warriors. The ones you call dogs." As if on cue, Rex wandered into view of the camera, his tail wagging as he sniffed around Miller's desk for dropped breakfast crumbs. The alien bridge crew tensed. Commander Gray leaned forward. "See, you keep them even in your command centers." Miller looked down at Rex, then back at the screen, realization slowly dawning on his face. "Sir, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Rex here isn't a weapon. He's a military working dog. Yes, but he's also our friend and partner." "Friend?" The alien commander's voice dripped with disbelief. "That beast is clearly bred for combat. Look at its teeth, its muscled form, its intense gaze." Rex, hearing his name, sat down and offered his paw to Captain Miller, tail still wagging. Miller, trying hard not to smile, accepted the paw shake. "Commander, would you like a demonstration of Rex's capabilities?" "Ah, you'll finally show us their true power." Gray's eyes gleamed with anticipation. Miller turned to Jack. "Sergeant Wilson, would you do the honors?" Jack stepped forward with a tennis ball. Rex's ears immediately perked up, his whole body wiggling with excitement. "Observe this deadly weapon," Jack said with a perfectly straight face, then threw the ball across the room. Rex bounded after it joyfully, brought it back, and dropped it at Jack's feet, looking up expectantly with his tongue lolling out. The alien bridge fell silent. What kind of training exercise is this?" Commander Gray demanded. "It's called fetch," Miller explained. "It's a game. Dogs love to play it. A game. Gray's scales shifted through several colors in confusion. You play games with your biological weapons. They're not weapons, Commander, Miller said patiently. They're companions. Partners. Yes, some help us with military and police work, but mostly they're family. The concept seemed to short-circuit something in the alien commander's brain. He stared at Rex, who had rolled over and was now getting a belly rub from Jack. You mean to tell me, Gray said slowly, that you took one of your planet's most efficient predators and turned them into this? Rex barked happily at the screen, tail thumping against the floor. Commander Gray turned to his crew, all of whom looked equally baffled. We may need to reassess our initial intelligence reports. The 1-hour deadline came and went, but no one was keeping track anymore. They were all too busy watching Rex demonstrate his fierce military capabilities by doing tricks for treats. Commander Gray paced on his bridge, his claws clicking against the metal floor. The human's demonstration had shaken him, but he refused to believe it was that simple. There had to be more to these dogs. Prepare the shock troops, he ordered. We'll see how these creatures react under real combat conditions. Within minutes, 3 massive drop pods streaked through Earth's atmosphere, their metal shells glowing red-hot. They crashed into the open fields near the Montana base with thunderous impacts, kicking up clouds of dirt and grass. Inside the base, alarms blared. Captain Miller rushed to the window just in time to see armored alien warriors emerging from the smoke, their weapons raised. But Sergeant Wilson seemed oddly calm. "Sir," he said with a slight smile, "permission to demonstrate Rex's actual capabilities." Miller nodded. "Show them what a real K9 unit can do." The aliens advanced in perfect formation, their armor gleaming in the morning sun. Their leader, Lieutenant Red, kept checking his scanner. "Commander, I'm detecting one of their beasts approaching. Bio readings are confusing." Through his command screen, Gray watched intently. "Proceed with caution. We don't know what weapons they've hidden in these creatures." Rex trotted out of the base with Jack walking casually beside him. The German shepherd's ears were up, alert but not aggressive. The alien troops raised their weapons. "Halt," Lieutenant Red commanded. "Surrender your beast immediately." Jack just smiled. "Rex, say hello." What happened next would be recorded in alien military history as the Montana incident. Rex, the supposedly fearsome weapon, bounded forward with his tail wagging like a furry propeller. Before the aliens could react, he sat down in front of Lieutenant Red and offered his paw, tongue lolling out in a doggy grin. What is it doing?" Red's voice cracked with confusion. "Is this some kind of attack pattern?" On the bridge, Commander Gray leaned so close to his screen that his scales nearly touched it. It must be some kind of psychological warfare. Rex, growing slightly impatient that no one was shaking his offered paw, gave a small woof and wagged his tail harder. One of the younger alien troops, Private Green, lowered his weapon slightly. "Sir, I think it wants to greet us. Don't fall for their tricks." Red warned, but it was too late. Green reached out one armored hand. Rex immediately placed his paw in it, gave it a proper shake, then proceeded to sniff the alien's armor with great interest. "Sir," Green reported, his voice filled with wonder, It's not attacking. It's being friendly." Jack pulled a tennis ball from his pocket. Instantly, Rex's attention snapped to it, his whole body wiggling with anticipation. "Want to see what he's really trained for?" The alien troops watched, weapons slowly lowering, as Rex demonstrated his skills. Sitting, staying, rolling over, playing dead, and fetching the ball. With each trick, their posture relaxed more. But Lieutenant Red protested. "Our scans showed they were derived from fierce predators." "Wolves." "Oh, they are," Jack confirmed, now giving Rex a good scratch behind the ears. "But humans and dogs have been friends for thousands of years. We didn't turn them into weapons. We turned them into family." Through the command feed, Commander Gray watched as his elite shock troops gradually sat down in the grass, completely enchanted by Rex's playful nature. Private Green had already learned how to throw the tennis ball. "Sir," Officer Blue reported from his station, "similar scenes are playing out worldwide. Every base we targeted, the humans are responding with pet dogs." They watched footage from other bases, a golden retriever bringing his leash to a surprised alien soldier, a Labrador sharing his favorite toy with another, a tiny corgi herding a group of confused troops in circles. "Commander," Blue said quietly, "I believe we may have made a significant error in our initial assessment." Gray watched as Rex flopped onto his back, asking for belly rubs from the very troops who had been ready to fight him moments ago. Private Green was already obliging, his armor covered in happy dog kisses. "Officer Blue," Gray said slowly, "begin researching everything you can about this relationship between humans and dogs. I want to understand how they did this." On Earth, Jack watched with amusement as his fearsome military working dog taught a group of alien warriors how to play fetch, one tennis ball throw at a time. The invasion had officially gone to the dogs. Commander Gray sat in his private quarters aboard the flagship, surrounded by screens displaying thousands of images and videos of dogs throughout human history. His yellow eyes were wide with fascination as Officer Blue gave his report. "It's extraordinary, sir," Blue said, pulling up more files. "These creatures started as wolves, actual predators. But look at what humans did." He displayed a series of images showing wolves gradually changing into different dog breeds. "They modify them?" Gray asked, leaning forward to study a picture of a tiny chihuahua next to an image of a wolf. "Not through technology, sir. Through something they call selective breeding. They chose the friendliest wolves, bred them together, and repeated this over thousands of years until—" Blue gestured to a video of a pug sleeping upside down on a couch, snoring loudly. Gray's scales shifted to a pale blue color of confusion. "But why? Why take a perfect hunting machine and turn it into that?" "That's the most fascinating part, sir." Blue clicked through more footage from the Montana base. The video showed Rex playing with the alien troops, bringing them sticks, and teaching them the concept of belly rubs. Private Green was now completely devoted to the dog, having forgotten all about the invasion. According to human records, Blue continued, dogs helped them hunt, protected their settlements, and kept them warm. But somewhere along the way, something unprecedented happened. He paused for effect. They became friends. Friends? Gray tested the word. His species had never developed such relationships with other creatures. The concept was alien to them. "Look at this, Commander." Blue played a new video, a military funeral. In it, a German shepherd lay beside a flag-draped coffin, refusing to leave his fallen handler's side. Gray felt something strange in his chest as he watched. And this. The screen showed rescue dogs searching through rubble after a disaster. Another showed therapy dogs comforting sick children in hospitals, and another displayed a guide dog leading a blind person through a busy street. "They're not weapons, sir," Blue said softly. "They're partners, helpers, family members. The humans have a saying, dogs are man's best friend." Gray stared at the screens, particularly at an image of a small human child sleeping peacefully against a large protective dog. "Best friend." Our psychological analysis suggests that dogs have an almost supernatural ability to understand human emotions. They can detect when humans are sad, scared, or happy. They respond accordingly, offering comfort, protection, or sharing in the joy. The commander watched as more footage played. Dogs reuniting with soldiers returning from deployment, police dogs fiercely protecting their officers, service dogs alerting their owners to medical emergencies, and pampered pets sleeping in luxury beds. "Sir," Blue clicked his mandibles thoughtfully, "I believe we've discovered something our species never considered. The humans didn't conquer these creatures. They didn't enslave them. They formed a mutual partnership based on Love. Gray's scales rippled with different colors as he processed this. Love. For a different species. Exactly. And the most remarkable part, the dogs love them back. Unconditionally. The commander stood up and walked to his viewport, staring at the blue planet below. Show me more about this relationship. Hours passed as they studied everything. Dog training methods, different breeds and their purposes, the science behind the human-canine bond. Gray watched in amazement as dogs performed search and rescue operations, competed in sports with their humans, and simply provided companionship. One more thing, sir, Blue added, pulling up a final set of images. Remember how we thought keeping them in homes was a military strategy? Well, he showed pictures of dogs in costumes, dogs having birthday parties, dogs with their own social media accounts, and dogs being treated like actual family members. Gray stared at an image of a dog wearing a tiny hat at a human celebration. They throw parties for them. Yes, sir. They also buy them gifts, take them on vacations, and even include them in family portraits. The commander sat back in his chair, his whole understanding of warfare and species relationships shifting. We have made a serious miscalculation. Officer Blue. Sir, these humans, they didn't create perfect weapons. They created perfect friends. He looked at an image of Rex sleeping peacefully next to Private Green, who had refused to return to the ship. And I think we might have something to learn from them. Blue nodded, understanding dawning in his compound eyes. Should I cancel the invasion, sir? Cancel the invasion. Gray's scales shifted to a new color, one of curiosity and wonder. No, Officer Blue, I have a better idea. Prepare my shuttle for landing. I think I'd like to meet one of these dogs personally. The Montana base buzzed with activity as Commander Gray's shuttle descended from the morning sky. Captain Miller stood at attention, with Sergeant Wilson beside him, while Rex sat perfectly still, though his tail betrayed his excitement with slight wags. Remember, Miller whispered to Jack, this is a diplomatic meeting. Keep Rex under strict control. Jack nodded, but couldn't help smiling. Sir, I don't think Rex got that memo. The shuttle landed with a soft hiss, steam rising from its silver hull. A ramp extended, and Commander Gray emerged, his forearms clasped formally behind his back. He wore what appeared to be ceremonial armor, its surface catching the sunlight like polished obsidian. Commander Gray, Miller stepped forward. Welcome to Earth. Gray nodded, his yellow eyes immediately fixing on Rex. Captain Miller, I've come to personally investigate this unique relationship your species has developed. That's when the carefully planned diplomatic meeting went hilariously off script. Rex, upon seeing a new friend to meet, decided that protocol was less important than making a visitor feel welcome. Before anyone could react, he bounded forward with pure joy, tail wagging like a propeller. Rex, no, Jack called out, but it was too late. The alien security detail raised their weapons, Gray's scales flashed warning colors, and several human officers reached for their sidearms. But Rex had only one mission, making a new friend. The German shepherd skidded to a stop right in front of the alien commander, sat down, and offered his paw with what could only be described as a doggy smile. The entire base held its breath. Gray stared at the extended paw, then at the dog's friendly face, then back at the paw. Slowly, carefully, he extended one of his 4 hands. Rex, being the professional he was, gave a perfect paw shake. Then, deciding that wasn't quite enough friendship, he stood up and gave the commander's hand a gentle lick. He tasted me, Gray said, his voice a mix of shock and fascination. That's a kiss, sir, Jack explained, trying not to laugh. It means he likes you. Likes me. Gray's scales shifted through several colors. But I'm an alien invader. I threatened your planet. Rex responded by leaning against the commander's legs and looking up at him with adoring eyes, clearly requesting pets. That's the thing about dogs, sir, Miller said, relaxing slightly. They don't care about politics, species, or past mistakes. They just see someone who might become a friend. Hesitantly, Gray reached down with another hand and patted Rex's head. The dog's tail wagged harder, and he leaned into the touch. The fur is soft, Gray observed, his formal demeanor cracking. When Rex rolled over to expose his belly, the commander actually let out a sound that might have been a laugh. That means he trusts you, Jack explained. He's asking for belly rubs. Belly rubs. Gray looked confused but intrigued. Like this, sir. Jack demonstrated on a very happy Rex, whose back leg started thumping against the ground in pure joy. The sight of the fearsome alien commander kneeling down to give belly rubs to a dog would later become one of the most shared photos in human history. Officer Blue, watching from the shuttle, began frantically taking notes about this unprecedented diplomatic interaction. Amazing, Gray muttered, now fully engaged in the belly-rubbing session. Your species took fierce predators and turned them into creatures that offer friendship to everyone they meet. Well, they're still protectors when they need to be, Miller explained. Rex here is one of our best military working dogs, but mostly they're companions. They make our lives better just by being themselves. Rex, having thoroughly charmed the alien commander, trotted over to the security detail and began making new friends there too. Soon, several alien warriors were learning the proper technique for throwing a tennis ball. Commander, one of the aliens called out, I think I understand now why humans keep these creatures close. I've only known this dog for 5 minutes, but I would already die to protect him. Gray stood up, his formal demeanor permanently altered by dog fur on his ceremonial armor and a newfound understanding in his eyes. Captain Miller, I believe we need to revise our entire approach to Earth. Oh. Miller raised an eyebrow. Yes. Gray nodded, watching Rex teach his troops how to play tug-of-war. Instead of an invasion, I'd like to propose an exchange program. Exchange program. Yes, your people could teach our species about these dogs. And perhaps, Gray's scales shifted to a hopeful color, perhaps I could learn how to have one of my own. Rex barked happily, as if voting in favor of the idea. The day that could have marked the start of an interstellar war instead became known as the beginning of the Great Galactic Pet Adoption Program. 2 weeks after the diplomatic incident, Commander Gray found himself sitting cross-legged on the floor of the Montana base's K-9 training facility. Around him, various screens displayed thousands of years of human dog history, but he wasn't paying attention to them anymore. His focus was entirely on the small golden retriever puppy attempting to climb into his lap. Careful, sir, Jack said, watching the commander handle the puppy with all 4 hands. They're fragile at this age. Fragile. Gray marveled as the puppy nibbled playfully at one of his fingers. But they become such capable creatures. Officer Blue, who hadn't stopped taking notes since their arrival, clicked his mandibles excitedly. Sir, according to my research, this stage is crucial for bonding. They call it socialization. The puppy, unaware of the historical significance of the moment, succeeded in climbing onto Gray's lap and promptly fell asleep. It trusts me enough to sleep. Gray's scales shifted to a soft purple color that his crew had never seen before. That's what dogs do, Miller explained, leaning against the wall with Rex sitting beside him. They trust completely once they accept you as family. Family. Gray repeated the word slowly. You know, in all our centuries of space exploration, we've never encountered a species that formed such bonds with another. The puppy snored softly, tiny paws twitching as it dreamed. Our scientists study combat effectiveness, weapons capabilities, military strategies. Gray gently stroked the puppy's fur with one hand while gesturing at the historical displays with another. But we never considered this. The screen showed scenes from throughout history, dogs helping humans hunt mammoths, guarding settlements, herding sheep, pulling sleds through snow, and eventually becoming beloved family members. We thought ourselves superior because we conquered worlds. Gray continued, his voice soft to avoid waking the puppy. But humans made friends with wolves. Instead of defeating them, you partnered with them. And look what that partnership created. As if on cue, Rex trotted over and placed his head on Gray's knee, next to the sleeping puppy. The commander found himself petting both dogs, marveling at the difference between the trained military working dog and the tiny ball of fluff in his lap. "Sir," Blue interrupted gently, "the High Command is requesting an update on the Earth situation." Gray looked down at the puppy, then at Rex, then at the humans who had taught him so much in just 2 weeks. Tell them we discovered something more powerful than any weapon." "Sir, we've discovered friendship." Gray's scales rippled with emotion. These humans, they didn't just domesticate another species. They didn't just train them. They loved them, and in doing so, they created bonds that crossed the boundaries of species. The puppy woke up, yawned adorably, and began licking Gray's face with enthusiasm. To everyone's surprise, the commander laughed, a sound none of his crew had ever heard before. "Look at this little one," Gray said, holding up the puppy. "In a few months, it could be trained to find explosives, track missing persons, or guard important facilities. But instead of just being a tool, it will do these things out of love for its handler. Out of friendship." Miller nodded. "That's what makes dogs special. They're not just pets or working animals. They're partners who choose to help us because they want to." "On our world," Gray said quietly, "we have machines that can do everything dogs do. Sensors that can detect drugs or explosives. Robots that can guard facilities. But we don't have." He looked down at the puppy, who was now playfully wrestling with his thumb. "This." Jack smiled. "Well, Commander, that golden retriever seems pretty fond of you, and the adoption papers are ready whenever you are." Gray's scales shifted to bright colors of surprise and hope. "You mean?" "Every dog needs a home," Miller said, "even if that home is on a spaceship." The commander looked at the puppy, then at his chief officer. "Blue, send word to the fleet. Begin modifications on my quarters immediately. We need, what do they call it?" "A dog bed, sir," Blue answered, already making notes. "Also toys, food bowls, a leash, training treats." "And love, sir," Jack added. "That's the most important supply." Gray nodded solemnly, even as the puppy began nibbling his armor. "Then we have much to learn. Officer Blue, update the mission parameters. We are no longer here to assess Earth's military capabilities. Sir, we're here to learn how to be best friends." The puppy barked in approval, and somewhere in the vast history of the galaxy, a new chapter began. One written not in conquest, but in paw prints and love. 6 months after the Montana incident, the Earth's night sky lit up with hundreds of alien ships. But instead of panic, the arrival brought excitement. Each ship carried eager alien families, all coming for what humans now called the Great Galactic Adoption Day. Commander Gray stood proudly on the Montana base's parade ground, his scales gleaming in the morning sun. Beside him sat Star, his golden retriever, no longer a tiny puppy but a growing dog whose tail wagged constantly. The formerly fearsome warrior now had tennis balls stored in 3 of his 4 hands, ready for whenever Star wanted to play. "Report, Officer Blue," Gray ordered, while absently scratching Star behind the ears. Blue, who now wore a special uniform modified with tree pouches, consulted his datapad. "Sir, the first phase of the Interstellar Pet Adoption Program has been a complete success. Over 10,000 alien families have successfully bonded with Earth dogs." At the mention of treats, Star's ears perked up. Blue immediately gave her one, having learned early on that Earth dogs had mastered the art of adorable begging. "And the cultural impact?" Gray asked, watching as alien families arrived at the designated adoption centers across the base. "Revolutionary, sir. Our society has changed more in 6 months than in the previous century. Blue displayed statistics on his pad. Depression rates among our people have dropped 60%. Stress levels are down 45%. And he clicked his mandibles in amusement. The High Command reports that morning meetings are now delayed by an average of 10 minutes due to officers sharing dog photos. Gray nodded approvingly. Around them, the base had transformed into something unprecedented, part military installation, part adoption center, part cultural exchange hub. Aliens and humans worked side by side, teaching each other about their cultures, with dogs happily bridging any communication gaps. Private Green, who had been among the first alien troops to meet Rex, now ran a training program called From Fetch to Friendship. He was currently demonstrating proper frisbee throwing technique to a group of excited alien families. And the diplomatic effects. Gray asked, throwing a ball for Star with one hand while signing adoption papers with another. Beyond our most optimistic projections, sir. Blue pulled up more data. 17 previously hostile species have opened peace talks after visiting Earth's dog parks. 3 alien races that haven't spoken in centuries are now jointly funding a space station dedicated to pet care research. Star returned with the ball, dropping it in one of Gray's hands and looking expectantly at the treats Blue carried. The humans were right, Gray mused, tossing the ball again. Dogs truly are the ultimate diplomats. They don't care about species differences, past conflicts, or political tensions. They just love. Across the base, similar scenes played out. Alien children learned about responsibility by helping at dog shelters. Warrior species discovered the joy of gentle play. Scientists who once designed weapons now studied the perfect ratio of belly rubs to tail wags. Captain Miller approached, Rex trotting faithfully beside him. Commander Gray, the next wave of adoption ships is entering orbit. Excellent. Gray's scales shifted to happy colors as Star and Rex began playing together. You know, Captain, when we first arrived, we thought we were assessing Earth's military capabilities. And instead, we discovered that Earth's greatest strength isn't its weapons or technology. It's your ability to form bonds of friendship across species barriers. Gray watched as an alien child tentatively offered a treat to a shelter dog, both of them equally nervous and excited. You didn't just domesticate dogs. You showed the galaxy that love and trust are possible between different species. Miller smiled. Well, dogs had a lot to do with that. They've been teaching us about unconditional love for thousands of years. And now they're teaching the galaxy. Gray checked his schedule on a pad specifically designed to be used while throwing a tennis ball. The Galactic Council meets next week to discuss making Earth the center for interstellar companion animal studies. From potential invasion target to galactic pet adoption center, Miller mused. All because we kept biological weapons in our homes. Gray's scales flushed with embarrassment at the memory. Perhaps not our finest intelligence assessment. Oh, I don't know, Miller grinned. You weren't entirely wrong. Dogs did conquer us. They just did it with love instead of force. Star and Rex barked in agreement, and across the galaxy, thousands of alien families discovered what humans had known for millennia. That sometimes the greatest victories come not through force of arms, but through the simple, boundless love of a dog. And somewhere in the vast archives of the Galactic Defense Force, a file that once read Earth, potential military threat, was updated to read Earth, home of humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, friendship with 4 legs.